Welcome our students and viewers. Once again I am here with few MCQs for the forthcoming NET exams just scheduled to be held in sometime in for initial May. For that exam I am just coming with MCQs. So let us start. First question is, match the list. We have list 1, list 2. On the theory of unbalanced growth, it was given by Hirschman. Research and development and growth, this theory was given by P. Romer. This human capital and growth, that was given by R. Lucas. And surplus value and accumulation, this was given by Karl Marx. So this is how we match the list. These are the names and these were the people who gave the theory. So this is how we match this. Number 2, again we have to list the match. Export pessimism, this theory was given by R. Prebisk. R. Prebisk, he gave the theory of export pessimism. Unequal exchange, that concept was given by A. Emanuel. A. Emanuel, he gave the theory of unequal exchange. Critical minimum effort, this R. Levinstein, very famous law. Critical minimum effort, one of the rather growth theories in the growth economics. So critical minimum effort theory was given by H. Levinstein. And innovation entrepreneurship, this innovation word is associated with Schumpeter. So definitely this theory was given by Joseph Schumpeter. So they were the contributors of these theories. Number 3, again we have to match the list. RBI. So RBI was established in 1935. First Finance Commission, that was established in 1952. Gargill formula was given by 1968 and it was implemented in 1969. And thirdly, Planning Commission, that came into existence in 1950. Planning Commission 1950 में. This is how. Now number 4, again we have to match the list. Investment multiplier, this was given by J.M. Keynes, John Maynard Keynes. So investment multiplier is the contribution of Keynes. Employment multiplier, R.F. Kahn. Restatement of quantity theory of money, a famous theory in macroeconomics, it was given by Milton Friedman. And this supply side economics, this theory was given by A. Laffer, an American. A. Laffer. Laffer curve is very important regarding the tax revenue and the tax rate. So the same people or the same gentleman A. Laffer just provided this supply side economics. So this is how we match the list. I'm again solving few more sums. Question number 5 says that when price of any commodity X increases and consumer demands less, definitely when the price has increased, there would be less demand, good X, because price of X, that is PX, has made him poorer. Definitely when the price of any commodity goes up, the real income of the consumer goes down, it gets reduces. So real income has reduced, and on account of the less real income, he or she, the consumer, just demands less. So it is only on account of the income effect, not supply effect or demand effect or substitution effect. Substitution effect is something different. Demand effect is different, supply effect not relevant. So due to income effect, on account of the price of any commodity X, just the consumer demands less of the commodity. So there would be, answer would be income effect. Q is output, L is labor, then Q by L is the average product of labor. So total product by total number of factor, here factor is the labor. So the Q is the total product, L is the number of labor used. So total product divided by the number of labor used, that will give the output per unit of labor, and that is average product of labor. Number 7, choose correct for an unregulated monopolist. Monopoly equilibrium, this is average revenue, this is marginal revenue, this is marginal cost, here is the equilibrium. So this is the equilibrium price and it is the equilibrium, this is equilibrium output and Q bar P bar, this is the equilibrium price. Now price is larger than the marginal revenue, larger than the marginal cost. This is what is visible. Now price is less than marginal cost? No. Price is greater than average revenue. Price is average. Price and average revenue both are the identical things. So price is greater than the marginal revenue, because marginal revenue and marginal cost are here. So price is absolutely greater than marginal revenue. So number C would be the answer, which is correct. There are 4 expressions for average variable cost. Now we have to choose the right one. So average variable cost is total variable cost divided by the total output. Now total cost is total variable cost plus total fixed cost, and we have to get the average variable cost. So total variable cost is TC minus TFC. Hence average variable cost would be TC minus TFC and divided by Q. So this would be the average variable cost, and so A would be the correct answer. Here A would be the answer. Number 9, which is not a cause of market failure. Yes, a very important chapter in micro as well as microeconomics as well as the public economics. So this nowadays this thing has become quite popular. This market failure is the outcome of the few imperfections in the market, and that imperfections might be in the form of rigidities of the market or imperfect informations on the part of the consumer and behavior and externalities. These are the reasons for the market failure, and market failure does not happen in perfectly competitive market. Here it has been asked that which is not a cause of market failure. So definitely there is no market failure in perfectly competitive market. So perfect competition would be the right answer. Number 10, which of the following is the correct sequence of their minima? Yes, this question relates to the cost. This is output. On this axis it is cost. It is average total cost. This is average variable cost, and this is marginal cost. Sequence is absolutely clear. To the extreme left, minima of MC. To the right of this, minima of average variable cost, and to the extreme right, we have the minimum of average total cost. So marginal cost, average variable cost, and the average total cost. So marginal cost, average variable cost, and the average total cost. So this D would be the answer. If you do remember this diagram, you won't have any problem. This is the sequence of the minima in the case of cost. Number 11, which of the following is the correct sequence of their maxima? Yes, this relates to the cost theory, and this relates to the production theory. Now if you do remember the law of variable proportions, you can have the answer of this question. In law of variable proportion, this is the total product curve. Here, this is a stage 1, this is a stage 2, and this is a stage 3. Now this is the average product is maxima, and this is marginal product. This is the maxima of marginal product. To the right of it, maximum of average product, and extreme right is the maximum of total product. So marginal product, average product, and total product. This is the sequence of minima. So marginal product, average product, and total product. So number C would be the answer as per the sequence of the maxima in the production theory. So that was the sequence of cost in the cost theory, and this is the sequence of the maxima in the production theory. So this is how 11 questions. Let us see, we are solving few more questions. This question number 12, this question relates to the area property of the normal curve, mean plus minus 1 sigma, mean plus minus 2 sigma, and mean plus minus 3 sigma. Mean plus minus sigma almost covers 99%, mean plus minus 2 sigma, that is 95%, and here it has been asked mean, mu is mean plus minus 1 sigma, and it covers 68.26% of the area below the normal curve. So this is the area property, and mu plus minus 1 sigma is this one. Number 13, sum of a square of deviation of 15 observations from mean 20 is 240. Find SD and CV. Here n number of observations is 15, mean is 20, and sum of a square of deviations from mean. So this is summation x minus x bar square, and this is given as 240. So this is the data for 15 observations, mean is this 20, and sum of a square of deviation from mean. So this is summation x minus x bar square 240. Variance is, this is the formula, summation x minus x bar upon n. We have already 240 by 15, and this is 16. So variance is 16. So SD would be the root of square root of variance, that is 4, and CV is SD by mean into 100. So SD is 4, mean is already given 20, and into 100. So CV becomes 20% or simply 20. This is what I have been asked, how to find CV, and we have got the CV as 20. Number 14, if sigma x is 15, if standard deviation is 15, find mean deviation and quartile deviation for a normal distribution. So these sums relates to the very properties of the normal distribution, and as well as the very relationship between the different measures of dispersion. Here we have to search the relationship between mean deviation and SD, as well as between this QD, quartile deviation, and SD. And here we do have the formula. Sigma x is 15 given. Now we have the formula that mean deviation of any normal distribution is 4 by 5 of sigma. If you have this one in memory, so 4 by 5, sigma is 15, and mean deviation has turned out to be 12. And we have the separate formula for just quartile deviation. This is 2 by 3 of sigma. So 2 by 3, and sigma is already given as 15. So 2 by 3 sigma, and it is 10. And it must be kept in the memory for the students that for a normal distribution, mean deviation is always greater than quartile deviation, and standard deviation is largest one. So this is the relation between the three measures of dispersion. In case of normal distribution, standard deviation stands as the largest value, then comes mean deviation, and the smallest value is the quartile deviation. So this is the sequence of the different measures of dispersion. So it is mean deviation and it is quartile deviation. Sum number 15, if mean deviation is 20, find the standard deviation and quartile deviation for a normal distribution. From the same relationship we can have mean deviation is 20, find the standard deviation and quartile deviation. Now we do have the formula that mean deviation equals 4 by 5 of sigma. Mean deviation is 20, 4 by 5 of sigma. So 4 sigma equals 100. So sigma is 25. That is SD. Now when we have got the SD, we can have the value of QD. QD is 2 by 3 of sigma. So 2 by 3 sigma value right now we have got 25. So QD stands as 2 into 25, 50 by 3. So this is quartile deviation. And this is the standard deviation if mean deviation is given. 16 says that if quartile deviation is 6, find the standard deviation and mean deviation for normal distribution. Quartile deviation is 6, find SD and MD. Now from the relationship of quartile and deviation and standard deviation, we shall get the value of standard deviation, and the moment we get the value of standard deviation, we can have the value of mean deviation. So this quartile deviation, as we have written the formula, this is 2 by 3 of sigma. Quartile deviation is 6, This is 2 by 3 of sigma, cross multiplication. So 2 sigma equals 18. So sigma equals 9. So standard deviation is 9. And now we can have the mean deviation is 4 by 5 of sigma. So 4 by 5 into 9, this is 36 by 5. This is how we get the mean deviation. And the last question is, if quartile deviation is 20, mean is 60, find CV, mean deviation, and coefficient of mean deviation. Two things are given. If quartile deviation is given as 20, mean is given as 60, we have to find out coefficient of variation, mean deviation, and coefficient. Simply there is a use of formula. QD is 2 by 3 of sigma. This is established formula between QD and sigma. QD is 20 equals 2 by 3 of sigma. Cross multiplication 2 sigma equals 60. So sigma is 30. Now, when we have got the sigma, already we have the value of mean. So we can have the CV, SD by mean into 100. So SD right now 30, mean is given as 60 into 100. So CV becomes 50% and mean deviation is 4 by 5 of sigma. 4 by 5, sigma value just now we have got 30. So 4 by 5 into 30, it becomes 24. And finally, coefficient of mean deviation is mean deviation upon mean. Just now we have got the value of mean deviation. This stands as 24 and mean is 60. And so coefficient of mean deviation stands as 0.4. So this much sum I have solved in this class. Again, I shall come up tomorrow with new sums and new features. But today, this is all. And it is high time for the students because exam is looming large on the head of the students as well as the examinees. So, invest yourself in the fullest strength. Whatever you do have, you have to put all of your energies. And like a teacher like me is very busy for the good future of my students. So I am doing whatever I can do in the limited period of time. So this much of sum I have solved today. Tomorrow again I will be coming with new sums. But for today, this is all for the students. Best of luck and thanks.